always tease each other. He was, you know, after I gave birth, he was like, oh my gosh, you know, if I lost you and I, you know, went to the park with our 3 kids, I mean, think of the ladies I can. This is a horrible thing to say.
I mean, honestly, the way that I get into a character is through their style. So it was more about who Lily is that was so fascinating to me.
Hollywood drama is nothing new, but when an A-list actress allegedly takes over a whole movie production, fires important crew members, and changes the script without permission, the industry takes notice. That's exactly what's happening behind the scenes of It Ends With Us, where sources say Blake Lively exercised complete control over Ting director Justin Baldoni, firing editors, and even excluding the film's composer. The situation has escalated to lawsuits, leaked text messages, and insider testimonies that depict a toxic workplace. But how did it all go so wrong? And why are former crew members now talking about Lively? Let's dissect the turbulence, power struggles, and tension behind the scenes that made this production into a Hollywood battleground. Blake Lively joined it, and it ended with us. Nobody could have foreseen the impending storm that would strike the project. At first, Justin Baldwini was in charge of the movie as both its director and a major creative force, but that soon changed as Blake began to make her presence known. According to insiders, Blake, who lacked a director's experience, started to dominate important choices, thereby displacing Justin from the limelight. As her authority increased, so did the tension on set.
I'm honored, and I'm also more honored that because, you know, what we're talking about is so important and so meaningful.
With crew members experiencing a change and a widening gap between the two stars, what followed was a wave of crew dismissals, many of whom had been loyal to Justin from the start. The new dynamics on set were impossible to ignore, and insiders reveal that Blake's takeover made it clear she was running the show. The friction wasn't just between the stars, it rippled through the entire production, with many wondering just how much of the film's creative vision would remain in Justin's hands. Blake Lively wasn't just acting in It Ends With Us, she was taking over the entire production. After the filming wrapped, Blake made a bold and controversial move by demanding to have her hands on the film's edit, even though that's traditionally the director's responsibility. As tensions rose, it became clear that Justin Baldwin's vision for the movie was no longer the priority. Instead, Blake pushed to create her own version, and the stakes got even higher when the studio agreed to let both Blake and Justin edit their respective cuts. Whoever had the better test audience results would have their version released to the public, but Blake wasn't about to let that happen without a fight. Leaked text messages between Justin and his editing team showed how difficult things got for those caught in the middle. The editors were already having trouble keeping up with Blake's increasing demands, with one of them admitting that all they wanted was to keep her happy so they could continue. However, when Blake started to micromanage the editing process, tensions reached a breaking point, and the editors expressed their worries about how Blake was pushing them and undermining their work. Blake's grip over the project grew more tightly as post-production progressed, pushing the editors to work beyond appropriate hours and make judgments that caused them great frustration, even though they followed the book exactly. Blake's decision to fire Justin's entire editing team and replace them with editors from her husband Ryan Reynolds' projects was so abrupt that it turned the entire post-production process into a battlefield, with the crew who had put in countless hours on the movie abruptly being thrown aside and Blake's new team thrust into the limelight. As production went on, there were rumors of Blake Lively's domineering behavior, and communications revealed the editors' shock and frustration at how their hard work could be so quickly disregarded. This wasn't just a creative disagreement. It was a blatant power grab, and Justin's team was the collateral damage. Crew members who had been working with Justin Baldwini prior to her arrival started to feel the pressure when her behavior surfaced. According to insiders, Blake's presence on set was nothing short of commanding, and not in a way that encouraged creativity. Rather, it seemed like everyone had to tread carefully to avoid her wrath. The atmosphere changed from one of collaboration to one of fear, with the star feeling more like cogs in a machine than creative professionals. However, it wasn't just her professional choices that caused a stir. Some initially found her tone deaf. Blake established a charity booth on the set to raise money for sick children and the military, which may have seemed like a noble gesture, But insiders disclosed that the crew felt compelled to donate because many were struggling financially as a result of the ongoing strikes and felt awkward and under pressure to give even though they had little to no money after months without paychecks. However, because Blake was one of the highest-ranking people on the set, the crew feared consequences if they didn't contribute, and multiple sources confirmed that crew members were truly terrified of Blake.
Everyone tends to want to talk about why this is such an important film and why it's so empowering, and I think that that is really important. But I think what's beautiful about this film is there is every color of
Her overwhelming influence on the set made it obvious that if you didn't please her, you risked losing your job. The atmosphere of intimidation was so strong that even seemingly insignificant decisions turned into battlegrounds, with Blake seemingly in charge and Justin left to fend off her demands helplessly. It wasn't about creating a great movie anymore. It was about surviving a production directed by a star who wasn't afraid to show who was in charge. According to sources, Blake Lively's influence over It Ends With Us extended beyond the director's chair and into the wardrobe. The film's seasoned costume designer, Eric Damon, had years of experience on sets like Gossip Girl, but Damon's team had already assembled costumes based on the character's script description. Blake completely disregarded their efforts. Instead, she sent numerous late-night SMS with pictures of her desired look, completely changing the appearance of her character. The wardrobe department had to go on yet another buying spree, which put a strain on the budget, but the problems didn't end there. In what appeared to be another power maneuver, Blake insisted that all of her fittings be done at home, which led to additional delays and needless tension for the production crew. Many in the production industry say that Blake's AC left little room for creative input from others, and the decision to hire someone from her personal circle raised eyebrows in the industry. The crew saw it as another example of Blake asserting her influence and preference even at the cost of the film's original vision. Blake turned her attention to the music department, completely disregarding the award-winning composer Justin Baldwini had brought on board, even though the composer's finished score was praised by many. Blake's decision to change the composer and overhaul the wardrobe had a knock-on effect on the film's creative direction. According to one insider, these choices were more about Blake consolidating power than about the integrity of the artist. The costume designer's work was ignored, the music took on a new tone, and it became evident that Blake's personal preferences were driving the project's aesthetic for Justin Baldwini. This was a blow to his vision for the movie, and crew members felt his frustration with every new change. It appeared the film was moving further away from what he had originally intended, leaving many wondering how much control an actor should have over a production that wasn't even her to direct. Blake Lively and Justin Baldwini didn't only argue on set. She also filed a lawsuit against him, claiming that he had harassed her and made repeated, unwelcome approaches during a kissing scene, among other inappropriate behaviors. Although the lawsuit depicted a dangerous workplace, Justin had a different account to provide in his claim, revealing something much more concerning. Blake's actions raised questions about the film script as well. Blake chose to take matters into her own hands and rewrite parts of the story, without consulting the screenwriter Christy Hall, which was shocking given the writer's strike at the time. Blake had disregarded the advice of an intimacy coordinator, a crucial role on set designed to ensure the comfort and safety of actors during intimate scenes. Justin was proactive, even taking the initiative to meet with a coordinator. Blake refused, brushing off the need for professional oversight, setting the stage for the controversy that followed. When Blake finally acknowledged rewriting the script at the film's premiere, it wasn't just a casual remark. Rather, it was a daring declaration that sent shockwaves through the CW crew. Blake's husband allegedly made his own changes to the script while the writers were on strike, and her unilateral decision-making continued to undermine the creative efforts of everyone involved, from writers to directors. Hollywood insiders have spoken out about the tense atmosphere on the set, with many expressing amazement at Blake Lively's level of control. The fallout from Lively's power maneuvers didn't just happen on the set. The industry is now questioning Blake's handling of the project, from casting choices to post-production, according to various sources close to the project. She has managed to alienate important collaborators, such as Justin Baldwini, whose vision for the film was overshadowed by the leaked texts from the editors and crew. This has sparked a conversation about on-set dynamics, leaving many wondering if this kind of behavior is more common than we think, or if Blake's actions were an extreme case. A-list actors are known for their influence, but this was the production. Despite the creative conflicts, W didn't finish with the editors and crew being fired. Instead, it made its way to the big screen, albeit not without controversy. The original director, Justin Baldoni, was allegedly forced out during post-production, leaving Blake to decide on the final cut after the editors were replaced and her vision took over Justin's version of the movie, which was left on the cutting room floor. The real kicker was when it was revealed that Justin wasn't even invited to the premiere but had to watch it in a basement with friends and family, underscoring the power shift that had occurred behind the scenes. Many people who were engaged in the film's distribution have a bad taste in their mouths because of the crew's ire leaking into public conversations. What does all of this imply for Blake Lively in the short term? It ends with Us. Blake's cut has arrived in theaters, but many people believe it is not the film they intended to make, casting doubt on the finished result. May have been released, but the drama behind the scenes could have a lasting impact on her career. For a singer who is once renowned for her likability and charm, this scandal has given a completely different impression. Word of mouth spreads quickly in the close-knit Hollywood industry due to several lawsuits, claims of unethical activity, and the fallout from her project management. For now, it seems like Blake's name is synonymous with controversy, and her future projects may come under closer scrutiny than ever before. Will she be able to recover, or will her behavior leave a lasting mark on her career? Blake's reputation may be in jeopardy, even though she may have the support of her powerful husband Ryan Reynolds, but it's unclear how much that will shield her from the industry's backlash.